All right, what's up, everybody? We are back. Corked Stats, NFL, fastest freaking show in football. Absolutely anywhere. What's your boy, yo? Big Johnny Stud. Follow me up on Twitter at John the Gazer Flow. Sharpening the damn razor. Same handle over on Substack. I have a waiver wire column over at The Athletic. I also do fantasy football articles for Matthew Berry over at Fantasy Life and the host of Fantasy Football Weekly over on iHeartRadio. Feel free to check that out. We're going to be doing a best ball draft on Drafters today. It's actually my favorite format. There's no playoffs, so you don't have to worry about all the weird correlation and stupid fucking pooling and stuff like that. Really a bit lucky for me. Plus, it's also roto, right? It's cumulative points, which I like. I think there's an added element there. It's PPR. I like that. And they've also added a new wrinkle. So it's $15 to enter and $250,000 up top. Yeah, you think we like that? You're damn right we do. However, they added a new wrinkle this year, which is kind of cool, and it's a weekly winner. Now, granted, these things are, a tremendous fucking pool. It's 112,000 people. But I love that you could hit for 5K on any given week or every given week, depending how you do. We're waiting for just one more person to fill the lobby. We're going to kick it off. It's 20 rounds, 12 teams, and then the usual suspects. One QB, two running backs, three wideouts, one flex, one tight end. We're going to go 20 rounds. We're going to talk everything. We're going to talk construction and players and stuff like that. And if you're into that kind of thing, you can check out the Substack, the same handle as my name. And there's like free samples of all the data that you get. It's projections and ranks. I've got uploadable best ball stuff for Underdog and DraftKings, advanced statistics across the board. Then once we get into the season, advanced stats and differentials. We'll be doing some reception props. And I also might be doing some of these weekly fantasy leagues, which are actually a lot of fun. Underdog has the Battle Royal. They're starting to kick off. And I hadn't really played. And since I jumped on midstream, I kind of like to know where I'm at before I play these things at a high level. And I ended up doing pretty good, for a small, set. So I'm going to be looking forward to that. I like that also. A little better than DFS for me because we won't have duplicates, right? We can't have all the same fucking players. Kind of annoying sometimes. Yeah, like I said, one more person to kick off the draft this thing. Here we go. I think, and away we go. Where did I draw? It looks like I drew the 10. I guess that's okay. Wonder if I can blow this thing up. Look at that. I guess that'll play. You can still see the 12th spot. I like to make sure we could see the entire board. Oh, let me center it a little bit. Oh, look at that. We're in the money, almost like I've done this before. So I've got the 10, which has been a little interesting. There's actually been some shuffling at the back end of the first round, which I guess maybe is not too unusual for this time of year. The front end is pretty much set. I'm Gibbs over Bijan, then I'm going Chase. I flip-flop Nakua to JSN. I'm pretty much off the kind of older running backs. I'm not really into the miles on the tires. I prefer, younger players at the position. I'm trying to look. I wonder if there's... I thought there was like a full screen version of this. I'm not even fucking sure what I'm doing here. I know Underdog has that. Locate active pick. No, I don't know. Maybe not. So whatever, draft's kicking off. Like we figured, kind of big. Gibbs, Biggs. Bijan, Jamar Chase. What I was mentioning in the shuffle at the end, where I'm kind of getting away from JT and CMC. Oh, I could bury the names and protect the identities of the innocent. You know what I mean? I think a few people are getting away from CMC, lack of efficiency, plus the injury stuff. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, he got away with it last year. That doesn't make it more likely to not get hurt this time around. That's not how these things work. Though we know the boy's got a nose for the end zone. There's one of those names that I was mentioning, and it's Ashton Genty, who's kind of went from after the turn, I was getting him early 2. Now he's going back end 1. You're going to have to figure out where, really where you stand. I still think Genty's a good pick up there. I've been going with Justin Jefferson in the first, like I just did now. I kind of always like that pick. I think he's got potential to be the 101. We've seen what the Vikings look like with KOC at the sticks. And if it was just J.J. McCarthy, again, every quarterback in that system has succeeded. They've always been so good. I'm not like the biggest Kyler guy, but we've seen Kyler elevate. Right? Was it fucking Hopkins at that point? But Jefferson's going to get fucking peppered. I mean, they did bring in Jennings to go with Addison, but neither one of those guys are taking what J. Jeff is doing. Now, I like to leave the 1-2 turn with at least one running back. I was looking for Ken Walker. He went number 9. That's a bit of a surprise. I've been one of the people kind of pushing him up. Man, I don't have a lot of Amari and Hampton, but I do kind of see the appeal. I've been going back and forth between him and Chase Brown. I think I'm going to go Chase Brown for the lack of competition. And I think overall the Bengals could be a higher octane offense than the Chargers. And I'm totally high on the Chargers this year. LA returning, Slater and Joe Alt. I think they might have drafted a center also. So they should be in pretty good shape. But I like everything that Brown adds. Again, I could have easily exchanged those. One day it might be Hampton for me. One day it might be Brown. The reason I've been caught in that position, and Genty also in that pile, but again, real lack of touchdowns potentially from Miami. And you got to get TDs, man. Even for all the catches, I also think there's a little bit of a worry when you deal with Malik Willis, who's really running. Those guys tend not to throw to the running back a lot of times, right? Stone foot fucking Tua is going to do the dump off thing. Let me shrink down one more. I don't like the flip flopping back and forth. I'm still getting used to hosting this one. Like I said, I thought there was like a full. I really thought there was a full screen option here. And again, I'm coming off kind of stupid right now, but hey, it's part of it. Got to be willing to take those L for love. So back into the draft board again. I had been the guy taking Genty and Walker. And now, if those guys are moving up to the first, I'm going to have to figure out where I stand. I'm not really drafting Barkley. I'm not really drafting Henry. I do like James Cook a lot. I like him a lot. I like him a lot. Boy's got the nose for the end zone, too. That offense also, tons of touchdowns. That's what we want to be attached to. And I think you get that with Hampton. I think you get it with Brown. And again, not so much Achane. But man, I'm going to have to rethink the early part of the second. And I'm actually going to make sure I do a little bit of a deep dive in these guys. Again, I didn't really feel the need. I was the first. I was really early on Ken Walker. He was going mid to back 2. I was taking him at the turn. So he was an auto smash for me, one of my highest rostered running backs, believe it or not. Because, again, if you're prioritizing a guy that's going back 2, you could get him anywhere in the second, and I was doing just that. So I'm not going to beat myself up about Brown. Maybe it even opens up the pathway to Joe Burrow. I know people don't necessarily think of QB running back as a stack, but I do. It counts for all the points. And they catch passes. Again, I think sometimes we get a little bit too cute trying to use historicals to define the future in this game of ours. Third round, this is like everyone's favorite place to draft, including myself. I really like McConkey. I like Flowers and Egbuka, Olave. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those guys. It's part of why I have been taking running backs up top so early and often. And I guess that's not 4D chess at all. It's probably chalk boomer stuff at this point. But it makes a lot of sense when you look back at your team, knowing that you filled in the running back position with really solid guys, that then you could go another direction, fill in everything else. We're going to talk about how this kind of shakes out. To me, it's very clear. It is very, very clear. There's a lot of great options up top. Then it goes fucking dead. It goes completely dead. I took Cam Scatterbo, checks all the boxes, right? Catches, runs, goal line. Touchdowns may be an issue, but again, it really is a total volume thing. And even then, if you don't love it, it only reinforces my point about running backs in the 4th through like the 9th. I mean, it's really unbelievable. I'll dig in for a Jalen Warren, Rashad White, but you'll find if you follow my work, I'm very picky. I cross everybody off. I don't rock a big portfolio. I don't think that's how you do this. I remember hearing on a podcast one time, it was baseball, but the point still holds. That you don't order watered down drinks, right? You ever go to the bar and order a watered down drink? You don't do that. We're looking for full strength here. And again, one player could change the entire team. So I don't, like, if you were trying to draft the same exact team around ADP, you couldn't do it if you wanted to. So I think you should just get all your favorite players as often as you can. And I know that might not sound like, fucking chess, but, right? The big shaking ass. I've done it before. Oh, I'm going to go with this guy instead of this guy. I'm going to take my second favorite pick all the way. And it's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I think up top, it makes sense to diversify a little bit. You don't want one pick sinking the entire fucking fleet of ships. But I'm not going to start taking guys I don't like, man. I'm not taking Javonte Williams. I don't think he's that good. I know we want to be attached to Dallas. I don't think he's that good. And he didn't have any significant competition. And he might have it this year. Blue could end up outplaying him midway. And then you burned a, third round pick on a guy that's not playing football. To me, that's another mistake people make. I've done it. Fuck, is it the Mike Davis error that everyone made that one year? Might have been the Panthers. He looked like he was the starting running back. Wait, you got a projectable volume. Yeah, project this, idiots. And I was that guy, so I'm not just pointing the finger of blame at people, because I fall for it. The mistakes you make, you hope to learn from. Now, this would be interesting if Warren makes it back to me. If Warren makes it back to me, I'd be kicking myself because I could have taken a wideout. If he does, I'm going to. I'm going to take Warren, and then you really get to just piece out on running backs, and you'll see we're just going to stack all the backups at the end. You literally don't have to look at any of these kind of shitty replacement with question marks. Man, I really like Jadarian Price. The market is kind of shaking me off of him, and I wonder if he'll fall back, because I would take him if I could go with. I like Parker Washington in this spot a lot. I think that I'm going to go with Washington again. He's my guy. I think the slot position in a Liam Cohen offense is worth all of the monies. And I know there's a lot of competition in that wide receiver room. I totally get it. The slot guy is it, though. that's the guy. We saw him pop off. I still have a few worries about Brian Thomas. And Jacoby Myers there, Travis Hunter. I'm out on Hunter. I can't be drafting guys I'm not sure if they're going to play offense. And if I get burned on that, so be it. I think if I get burned, it's got to be at the expense of Washington. So I'm going to either be right or be wrong. I don't think they're both going to. I think there's too much overlap there. I think the Jaguars need him on defense more than they need him on offense. Because, again, they have a ridiculous amount of talent in the wide receiver room, Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm going to hope that my boy Price or Warren, man, I'm going to have the same fucking decision to make. I had been taking Price over Warren the entire way. But as I get more and more into it, I don't know, people are just getting further away from it. And that pass catching role that Gainwell had in Pittsburgh is so valuable. They did bring in Dowd, who I think is okay. I think that's like the low-cal work. Man, where Price could get all the shit, I don't know, man. I'm going back and forth and back. All right, I got to go 10 toes down on my guy. I'll go back with Jadarian Price. First-round draft capital, Super Bowl winning team. They don't have a running back. They don't have one. I got to stop letting people push me off my spot. And this would be one of those things. We're hearing positive news on Zach Charbonnet. You chase that fucking shit. You want to chase lower body tears in the fucking playoffs? No, thank you. Grazie, no grazie. No way. Get out of here, yo. No chance. He could miss 2 months. He get a setback. I think if he returns to full strength, I think they'll split. And even if you were getting the Ken Walker role in round 6, you take that all day. People talking about Helani. I think I'm going to target him in this draft. You don't overpay for him. I guess he's okay. The reason I really like him, and this is something we'll talk about, is avoiding the zeros. you bet your left testicles that Price is making the team and going to be the RB2 at the least. I'm not buying that he's taking work from Price at all. I'm not buying it at all. Again, I'm 10 toes down for Jadarian. But you back up with Alani because people are going to be drafting guys that don't have a job. I've done it to death also. Oh my gosh, it's just the worst. Those fucking wrong answers in the late rounds just kill you. You know what I mean? So that's something I'm trying to clean up in my own game as I try and stand firm to my beliefs and buck the, fantasy football intellectual dark web. There's a lot of sharp guys out there moving markets, but when one group swings an entire market, at the very least, chaos is a ladder, and we want to be looking for opportunity there. Meaning, know who's going to be moving up. That's a huge piece of information. And then outside of that, it's knowing how to buck those trends or when. And to be honest, recognizing the double payout. If I'm opposed to a take that the dark web is into, we're already disparate, If they're going to move them up, creating value, in a guy we're fading, right? Push up the guys we're fading is only going to push back guys that we like. Pretty intuitive. I'm praying, like literally praying, Herbert makes it back to me in these two picks. If not, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be upset. Quarterbacks going hot and heavy. That's what it's been. There's a lot of consolidation. Man, I'm just got my fingers crossed right now. And that's how these drafts go. You're hoping Herbert goes in front of me. Oh, brutal. Absolutely fucking brutal. Absolutely fucking brutal. Oh, absolutely fucking brutal. Man, I can't risk getting caught out. I'm going to go with my guy Purdy and try and get some of that running stuff. I'm going to back it up with Dart right here if he makes it. Oh, that was brutal. I really wanted the Herbert McConkey connection. This fuck took Herbert with nothing there. Oh, he had Hampton. So, there it is, that running back, quarterback stack that I was mentioning. Look at all the red in 6 and 7. People are, in my opinion, correctly identifying the value here. It's too late for all these quarterbacks who could all finish near the top. All right, but I think we're getting near the end of that run. Now, I'm going to force Dart up into the conversation. It's not too much of a push per ADP because I really like the rushing floor. I know some people are off him. I don't know how you could be off a guy like Jackson Dart, especially if we're talking about weekly prizes for ceiling. He'll run touchdowns. He'll run in 2 TDs and throw 2 TDs. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 games where he does that, and he's like the QB1. Dart totally has that in the bag. I have that really nifty PFF page. Hold on, let me get that up, where they track all the weekly finishes. So like I said, I telegraphed that move, but I'm going Dart. So let's take a look at Jackson Dart by week. Okay. So, he didn't really play in the beginning of the year. Starting week 6, he was the QB4, QB3, then went 12-7-1, missed a couple games, wrapped up the season with a top 5 and a top 8. But that little section we're looking for, 4, 3, and 1. 4 out of 5 top 10s, 3 out of 5 top 5s. That's what we're looking for. We may get Neighbors back at some point. Remember, he didn't have Neighbors. And the Giants might not even be done. I was talking some shit on social media, which I guess is what it's for. And gosh, it just seemed like too good of an idea to sign Stefon Diggs to play the slot role that Wan'Dale Robinson vacated, all those fucking targets. Now, if not, as constituted, I think Isaiah Likely is already a massive, massive bargain. If you have Dart, I think you have to prioritize him. So I'm going to do just that. I don't want to... let's see where this fucking guy's going. 122. So I'm going to have to take him at 111. I give a shit. But ADP is stupid. By the way, you heard it here first. ADP is stupid. It's just a range and mostly constructed by losers. You don't want to get left out of tight ends that you think could get you a TE1 finish. Looks like I might get left out on my guys. I was hoping to get two of if we're going to include Andrews. But I like Fannin, I like Kincaid, I like Likely, and like I said, Andrews on the outside. I like Andrews more when I'm getting Lamar at the discount. But I think Andrews stands alone. People just kind of hand-leaving Andrews with no likely. Now with Declan Doyle at the switches for Baltimore, I'm really excited about the offense there. I think they're going to be really good. Like I said, I'm really high on Flowers. I grab him to the third when I can. I wasn't expecting him to make it to me today. If I would have grabbed him if he did. There goes Kincaid and shit. You know, these draft rooms are getting tough. I'll take a slipping Fannin. Love goes off the board. Again, I've been drafting Love because I really like Tucker Kraft. If I don't have a tight end in the 80s, he's normally the guy I take. I just couldn't do that because, again, you see how those, decisions kind of resonate. So I'm going to take Fannin. And what I mean is I went with Price, where I got the third RB, where it's in the 60s. People are beginning to take their quarterbacks. I could have taken fucking probably May or somebody good. I don't feel too left out. Purdy and Dart, I think, are like the two definitive QB values. I have my eye on that pick 130. I'm hoping for Willis. I don't know if he's going to get there. Probably not, the way QBs are going. I'll have to look for a back-end stack. I've been liking either like Geno to Adonai or Fernando Mendoza to maybe Jalen Naylor. I like, what's his face? Michael Mayer a lot. There isn't a really good, solid depth of pass catchers in the Raiders room. So again, chaos is a ladder. I'm not chasing up Tucker. I think we know what we got with Tucker. I'm not there on Trey Tucker. They brought in Naylor, who I really like. And then they drafted Malik Benson, who, again, I'm not going to pretend I don't know shit about a lot of these prospects. But he's getting a lot of camp buzz. And maybe more importantly, he's going to be available in the 20th round. There's very little available in the 20th round. And now I'm noticing, there's a lot of news. It must just be analysis. People highlighting which running backs are, zeros, going to play, not going to play. That the 20th round has become kind of barren as far as runners go. And there are actually now wideouts that I like if you have good guys up top. So you can see as I'm talking through it how my teams are. It's very heavy running back and wide receiver up top. I'm really not doing I like Bowers and I like fucking Josh Allen, but I'm just not really going there because of the way it affects you down the line. This is not my favorite team. They are all players I like, but this is not my favorite team. However, I still think that strategy keeps you solid where you need to be. Again, I had been really just going with two running backs and then punting. I think having the third one makes a lot of sense. Where you have a third running back that could squeeze into the flex spot. Again, I've had my eye on maybe like a Rashad White. He's kind of one of the later backs. It's not going to last for long. I've been pushing him up into like the high 80s or 90s. He's a starter. I don't know why he's going with the fucking backups. I'm not taking him behind the backups. Also, I've been into Jonathan Brooks, but he's moving up as well. They're really excited about the health situation. He went to a Trosh or whatever. And did like a different kind of procedure. I was reading all about it and actually put it past the doctor who signed off on it. He was like, part of what we have to understand is technology is getting much better. We're seeing that with these Achilles injuries. Guys are returning so fast from Achilles all the time now. We're up on the clock. I didn't really think of what I wanted. Like I said, Willis was gone. Running backs, I think, were out. I know I'm going wide out. I'm torn here between Diggs and Rashid Shaheed. I like Diggs, but you know what? I was always such a big Shaheed guy that I think they paid him. Remember, they in fact paid Shaheed over Kenneth Walker. And I think the rake I was stepping on that a lot of people are is, he didn't really do much. He wasn't really effective. Very hard to jump on that moving train. Very hard to jump on the moving fucking bus. You know what I'm saying? He was very impactful with the special teams game, and you get points for that. That's not what we're drafting him for. But again, Shaheed was super impactful and really good on per route, per target basis. Really explosive. He could pop the top. And I think he could be an excellent complement to JSN, who we know was going to hog all the attention. I've also liked Torrey Horton, and maybe that's the backdoor stack I'm looking for now. You're not going to get JSN, but you can go Shaheed. Maybe we're even going to squeeze Barner. Again, you always want to be thinking in terms of combinations. Now, again, another tough decision here. I like Diggs, but I had mentioned Naylor. Man, I don't know if I could take Jalen Naylor over Steph Diggs. That feels like a little bit of a reach. I really like Naylor. Right, and that's the Kubiak thing now. Fuck. You son of a bitch. Man, I'd be taking all. I have so much of both, but you know what? Diggs is not signed. I'm gonna go Naylor. That feels a little bit high. I think I overpaid. But when you're on the end, again, I wasn't kidding when I say ADP is stupid. You can't let ADP dictate. If the guy's not going to come back, and that's the piece that completes the puzzle, you stick it in the fucking puzzle. It's really as simple as that. And then I think if you expand on that type of thinking, how ADP should be widened on the edges, it even makes ADP even stupider. Again, don't be wild, right? Don't be ridiculous. With a good chance that a player comes back to you, you let him go. None of those guys are coming back. Right, so even though like, oh man, you reached 15 picks, Ethan wasn't coming back. I have 20 to go. I have my Diggs bags packed though. Man, he was really efficient. If he goes to New York on this team, I don't have my fucking size 11 foot in my own ass. But such is life in the big city. I don't know if I'm regretting it. He was not signed again. If Diggs was signed, he'd be moving up, which might even be another good argument for taking him because there's guaranteed CLV in Steph Diggs and. It's interesting that, again, he was really effective. I'm going to look at my sheets. I can't, you know what's funny? Actually, I guess I could share them. Maybe I'll show off the tools afterwards. But, really proud of the data and all the back-end stuff I have. But you got to check it out. You can check out my Twitter handle and see the feedback on the baseball stuff, and it's really detailed. Now, as far as Steph Diggs goes, quick search, Diggs' name, he pops right up. I have everything, I like the per stuff. So 12.4 points per game, but a half a fantasy point per route and almost 1.25 fantasy points per target for Diggs, which is awesome. Remember, he only played 54% of snaps, 418 total routes, but he earned 100 fucking targets. So he had a 24.4 target per route, 2.4 yards per route. 21% of the team targets, 20% of the team air yards, only playing half the time coming off the knee injury. And we know he can operate out of the slot, but he also had 13 deep targets and 17 20-yard receptions. So you're getting a lot there. He's not bad. He wasn't really a focus in the end zone. But again, moving teams that's going to get shaken up. Okay, we're back again. And I'm just kind of filling in those pieces. Again, not really thinking about running backs. Again, they're all backups. I've got my starters. I'll get backups later. They're zeros. Man, I'm actually looking at another one of my guys. I'm surprised he fell. I'm really surprised that the Malik Willis drafter decided to pass on Dulcich. I think if Willis succeeds, I think Dulcich is a huge part of that. I'm going to bring up his numbers in a second also. He's really efficient as well. And I think that's how you do it at the tight end position. I mentioned Barner. I'd much rather have Dulcich, who could be the top target earner on his team. Granted, it'll probably be HN, but he could be the top pass catcher right in the pass catching room. He could be the guy. We know he's explosive. And Willis actually getting shit on a little bit, but there goes my Adonai Mitchell pick. He's up into the 150s now. I was drafting him at fucking pick 200 earlier. Holy crap. So he's jumped Sadiq. I was looking for Cooper. He didn't jump Cooper. Cooper went in the same round. I'm off Cooper. Jets have a lot of mouths to feed, and though I do think Geno is going to be fine, unlike a lot of people, that's not a popular take. Let's see, Rabbit. I wanted Jalen McMillions, but he went. And now I'm usually not doing contingency stuff for wideouts. But I'm going to go Flournoy. I think he's one of the best wide receiver threes in the league. And he has tremendous contingent value, right? We've seen him step in. If Lamb or Pickens is out, I think it's twofold. Not only does his utilization increase, But I think the attention, like we were talking about JSN, the attention is going to get funneled away from him, which is exactly what we like. And again, we've seen some big games. Now, I wanted to bring up Dulcich. Again, kind of showing off how fast you can use some of the tools. Very hard to do research during a fast draft, but sometimes you need to look up shit really quick. So just like that, Dulcich is up just over 6 fantasy points per game. Again, not great, I get it. However, but 0.45 fantasy points per route and over a fantasy point per target. He only played 238 snaps, but he earned 33 targets, went 26, 335, and 1. So again, the efficiency numbers are the things that I'm looking for this year. Greg Dulcich, 23.4 target per route, 2.4 yards per route run, and almost 8 yards after the catch per reception. We want the tight ends that shake the shoulders and get fucking downfield. Again, Willis also, where I think that symbiosis really comes to the fore. Willis has got the wiggle himself. We're going to get broken down plays, and if you get Dulcich streaking, right, that's what we want. Willis avoiding the sack, breaking right to left, defense trying to collapse, Dulcich in the soft spot underneath, right? How, kind of thinking down line, how that works. Willis and fucking Dulcich could both be out of the league by week 9. I don't know. But they're starters right now, and again, I know people are really cold on the Dolphins. I think that's fair. I like Willis. I think he's good. I think the Dolphins are going to be fun for fantasy just because the offense is so consolidated. Again, here's all these fucking whack running backs. I'm not interested at all. Pacheco, you can have that shit, yo. I don't want that shit. You can have that shit. I really like Bigsby, but now he's up in the 14th. Kamara is a wasted pick, total wasted pick. These guys are old and washed, yo. That's not how you do this. This is a season-long thing. I'm telling you, it's not how you do that. Now, man, I don't really have a good third quarterback option. Man, what a bitch that is. And like Mendoza went, yikes, I'm up against it right now. I'm going to go with blue. I mentioned fading Javante, so I kind of would like a piece of that. I mean, Katron Allen gone in the 15th. You could see, like I said, the running backs, just backups flying up the board. Now, that's why I don't think you want the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 round guys at all. At all. There's very few even, in these middle ones. I want to wait. So you have to kind of pick your spots. I should be looking at who's available. I'm going to need, my quarterback plan is fucking shot right now. Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith. Oh my God, it's all the fucking backups. Sometimes I look at my guy. Oh, you know what? Oh, excellent. Okay, so this is going to be a weird shrivel. But Mac Jones is backing up Brock Purdy. He's going to be available in the 20th. Love it. Again, I'd rather have a combination of Purdy and Mac Jones. Remember, Mac Jones was slinging it for the fucking Jags, and in the Shanahan system, I think he'll be fine. So I actually really like that as a 20th round pick when you have Purdy. I like that better than any of these other kind of shit cans or whatever. Now, I'm pretty much a fucking boomer. I balance my teams generally. 20 rounds, I like to go 3, 7, 7, 3. 3 quarterback, 7 running, 7 wide, 3 tight end. I get it. There is a whole science. Well, if you grab Bowers, you only need 2. And if you take Josh Allen, you only need 2. I've been down that road. And that injury can kill you, could just totally destroy you. If it happens when your other guy is on bye, now you're taking zeros and you're probably F'd in the A. I want 3. Again, if I'm thinking Mac Jones, doesn't have to be a good 3. It's just got to be 3 human bodies. Right? You lose Purdy. You feel pretty good about Jones. Now, I just drafted Christian Kirk as the complement. He was making his way up top. If I didn't, the other guy I've been getting back here, I'm not a big fan of the wideouts. I mentioned some. I like Dontavian Wicks. I'm not sure what to think about Lemon and how he fits into the Eagles right away. And I think Wicks could step in as the 2 right off the bat. Even if he's the guy that gets displaced, he'll have contingency value down the road also. I think Wicks is a good player. Remember, at pick 200 or even 190 or whatever, it's hard to find much of anything. Now, I did take Kirk over Stribling. I don't know enough about Stribling. I'm not going to do that because, again, that could be the zero. That could be the zero. Kirk is a player. They also need an underneath target. And slot layup stuff, right? Do I have to tell you how effective it could be? Look at fucking Wandale. I know he ran some other routes later on, but he's mostly playing out of the slot and just racking it up. We're not so sure what the San Fran target tree is going to look like. Mikey Evans is going to get his, bro. But that's not underneath stuff. He don't play the slot. He's like the prototypical fucking X guy. So now we have 2 QBs. We're going to get Mac Jones 20. We have 7 wideouts. It's closed. And we have 3 tight ends. It's closed. So now it's just 3 running backs. We're going to get the 3 best running backs we could find. The 3 best running backs that money can find. And move from there. I got my highest rostered player on the board, which is Marshawn Lloyd. He's the direct backup to Josh Jacobs. And I know he hasn't really played. That's baked into this cost. What if Josh Jacobs has his case go sideways? What if new evidence comes out and the league says, fuck it, we can't do this? Marshawn Lloyd is going to jump 100 picks. And I would have my highest roster player jumping 100 fucking picks and be dancing a damn jig in the Brooklyn streets. You know what I'm saying? So you could see, hopefully I'm doing a nice job of putting together the thinking here. Another guy I really like, Damon Claiborne. You know, I like to attack weak backfields. I'll give you the opposite of that. Sean Tucker went 2 full rounds before either one of my guys. He's a clear number 3. Now, I'm not a big Bucky guy. I'm not drafting Bucky. He kind of screwed me last year. I worry about the health. It's not just lower body plus the shoulder. And, face it, Kenny Gainwell is a dog, bro. He went into Pitt and just fucking outplayed everybody. He outplayed Warren. He made himself the star. You can't tell me it's not on the table. I worry a little bit about Tampa's defense. And if he's the pass catching back, he could be the dude. I have a ton of Gainwell. After pick 100, to me, Gainwell is a smash. It depends on my construction. He's the guy, one of the guys I like, if I only take 2 running backs up top. Remember, I took Jadarian Price at pick 63. I'm not going back to the well until afterwards. Here's a little bit of advice here, something also I had to learn. You have to draft best ball as if you're right. You really do. You got to draft as if you're right. And that doesn't mean I take Josh Allen and he's the right answer, so I don't take another quarterback. It means once you shove your chips in, right? Once you're laying out the balance of the battlefield, you got to stick to it. I give you a good example. I think this was underdog, but still the mistake holds. L for fucking love. I mean, talk about a fucking wrong answer. Everyone was pushing up wide receivers with good reason, and that's fine. However, if you're drafting first round wideouts in the first round, okay, you're paying fair market value. So something can be expensive and be fair market value without paying a premium is the word that I was looking for. As those wide receivers disappeared, the guys you were getting in the 3rd and the 4th might have been overpriced, and now you're paying premiums, right? You're paying above market price. That was the mistake. I would also be the type, remember, there's only 3. Hold on, what was it? Now, I mentioned, man, I wish I could have gotten Darnold because I have Price and I have Shaheed. I think I'm going to go Torrey Horton and look to, maybe grab some more of that if it goes wrong for me. Yeah, so I'm going to get Horton, who I like. I think is a good player. I also think if the Shaheed thing goes wrong, it's because Horton was so good. And if Horton here's a who, that's a guy you'll definitely want 19th round. He's very easy to pay off. He was off to a great start. A little banged up, and I think that's why people are not drafting him right now aggressively. But the news is he's fine. Again, baked into the price. And for me, it's really an attachment to the Shaheed pick. I think one of those guys is going to be the clear 2 behind JSN. And just like that, our puzzle is put together. I just got to make sure I pick Mac Jones before I get fucking timed out. He has a Q on his name for some reason. What's up with this guy? Sore shoulder. Through passes this week. Yeah, again, I'm not worried. Yeah, whatever. And that'll do it. So you can see the team up on the board. We got Purdy, Dart, and Mac Jones at QB. That's where the stress is, but it's also not terrible. Purdy is a lot of people's sleeper quarterback quarterback that's outside the QB1 range. That's going to finish as a top 10 guy. And I think Dart, again, we already laid out the rushing impact and potential weekly ceiling. And, the Jones doesn't feel good, but it's just a compliment to Purdy and the Shanahan system, just trying to get attached to that guy. Running back room, Chase Brown, Cam Scatabo, Jadarian Price. We're going to hope that they, pick up 2, if not 3 of the scorers every week until Jaden Blue can take over for Javonta. I did something wrong. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I can't count. And I took Horton. I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to take a running back. And that's what I get for fucking being distracted. But what can you do? Again, the running backs at the back end, I'm curious if I even like anybody. There's really nobody left. Those running backs, a lot of them are fucking zeros. It's really, really tough out there. I was just trying to see who was even left. But yeah, so that was probably a little bit of a mistake. But again, Lloyd, I mentioned his upside and the pathway to points in Green Bay. And then Damon Claiborne, again, vulnerable backfield. I think Aaron Jones is past the prime. And I think Jordan Mason's game is incomplete. The word from Minnesota, the beats and the team and the squad and the coach, everybody loves Claiborne. And hopefully, back into the year, he's kind of adding something. Maybe Claiborne plus Jefferson is the, end of the season combination that you need. So I have a little bit of worry about the running backs, but not really. Again, we've seen Brown be awesome, Scatabo awesome, and I need Price to produce, right? That's what you're paying for. And then if Blue gets into that Williams role, then it's fucking wheels up, right? You're not really worrying about your running back room at all. And I think that's how you piece together the back end. The guys that could step in and be the big difference makers. Gosh, I feel like such an idiot right now with that fucking 8th wideout. That was a mistake, Though I know a lot of people do build that way because wideouts are more variant on a weekly basis. But it's J. Jeff, McConkey, Parker, Washington. Let's fucking go. Shaheed, Naylor, Flournoy, Christian Kirk, and Horton. All kind of serving purposes. Kirk attached to Purdy if we get that underneath role. Naylor hopefully stepping up as the wide receiver 1 in Vegas. And Horton to kind of compliment Shaheed. And then tight ends, Fannin, Likely, and Dulcich. Again, a lot of athletic fucking ability there. Likely could be the target leader in New York, and that's what you're looking for your tight end. So that'll do it, everybody. Appreciate you all. Thanks for watching the stream. Press the like button if you can. Subscribe to the channel. And check out the Substack. It's all, again, if you go to the bio on Twitter, it'll take you there. Again, it's all free. You just check it out, snoop around. Weekly projections. Optimal 150s for every single slate. Again, I do reception, props, bets. I like team totals. I have really cool differentials. Let's show that shit. If you're into handicapping at all, these are fucking huge. Really, really huge. Then we can even go over a little bit here. Check this out. Did that work? Answer looks like no. No, it didn't. Oh, there she blows. So again, differentials, especially the passing stuff, are the things that test out the best when it comes to handicapping. EPA per play diff, yard per play, EPA per dropback, yard per attempt, points per drive, explosive play differential. It's shit is huge. It's such a impactful perspective on teams and the league. Now, I haven't really looked at these in a minute. I wonder if anything kind of sticks out. Let's see. The yard per attempt differential is fucking huge, too. Man, Seattle was just fantastic. New England, Buffalo, Green Bay, Rams. Funny how you could see Green Bay. Awesome across the board, except for points per drive differential. That should correct, right? That's the one of these things, not like the other one of these things just doesn't belong. But yeah, all this stuff will update in real time once the season kicks off with just total craziness. I'm really proud of the team level stuff that we got going on. You can see the defensive stuff up on the board. Again, all your rate stats, all your drive stats, rushing stats, passing stats, pressure stats. We have slot, man and zone, defensive alignment, number of DBs, then a whole bunch of fantasy stuff. PPR, points per game allowed to each position. than like the funky positional kind of prop stuff, right? Quarterback rush yards, RB receptions, tight end receptions. Those are prop gold and DFS fucking gold. Same stuff for, offense. I'm not going to go through all of it, but it's honestly, it's everything. And if there's anything's missing that you could think of, I just add it. And I think that's part of why they're so good. People that actually do this shit hop on board and like, yo, what the fuck? Yeah, it just has like every little, yeah. Because people that use it will ask me, can you add this? It's helpful for betting. And I'll say, shit, sure. And it'll be up right then. I put it up that day and it's up for everybody. So, where your good ideas can impact the community and be selfish. Remember, this is all about saving time. If you think that you could find all of the data that I just showed you and sort it and format it, plus we're going to time split it when the time comes, for less than $2 a week, by all means, fucking do it. Good luck with that shit. Success rates, EPA, again, zone man shit is very hard to find. Very hard to find for as cheap as I'm trying to offer it, and I'm trying to give everybody a leg up in the fucking information war. It feels like we're constantly battling quants and computers and solvers and fucking all these things. So it just is what it is. But, if you don't like the heat, get the fuck out the kitchen. My answer is, hard work and that intestinal fortitude Grill Monsoon was always talking about. Sorry, man. I can't believe I forgot my Tecmo Bowl. Let's go. That's it. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the day. When we're done with the book, enjoy the pay. Holler at me if you have any questions. And remember, when you work this hard, winning feels a lot less like luck, yo.